Hello. Hi, everyone. In today's session of Startup Conversations, I have with me Joanne. Joanne is not a startup founder, but she has a lot to share on leading a team. She herself leads a big team in the financial planning space, and I'm very excited to talk to her today. So, Joanne, a little bit about her. She started her own financial planning since she was 14 years old. She has more than 14 years in the space with IPP Financial Advisors and is distinguished as the top of the game. She is recognized as one of the top 1% of financial advisors worldwide. And today she leads a team of close to 30 financial advisors. And she strives to inculcate a culture of learning within her team. So I'm really quite looking forward to speaking to her more about this. In today's session and in all our sessions of startup conversations, I don't care about being politically correct. I want to dig deep, find out a little bit more about who these people are, what challenges them, what motivates them. And so today we have Joanne. Yeah.
Hello, everybody. Thank you. Thanks, Crystal, for inviting me. It's my absolute pleasure to be here, and also pressure as well.
Yes. So, okay, let's get on to this question. But before that, maybe if anybody is here today and you are Joanne's friend, feel free to say hi to Joanne. Hello, say hi.
Hello.
Okay. Okay. Now let's go through the first question. Why were you drawn to the industry at such a young age?
Yeah, for myself, I was already saving up a lot of money since I was very young. So by the time I was 14, I already had about more than 20,000 in savings. So my mom introduced me to three of her friends who were back in different companies. And she said, why don't you talk to them? So I was like, okay, no harm, just get to know people. Then over the years, I started doing some planning for myself. So at 14 years old, I set aside this 20,000, and about 5 years time, it actually grew to $25,000. So from then on, I realized that, oh, money can actually grow more money. So that's where I decided, okay, for my internship, I wanted to try something. So I did something that's related to science research, and I realized it is not my cup of tea. So in the end, I went on to this internship in this company, IPP, where I've been there since I was 21 until now. So it's been
Wow.
14 years. like,
Wow, that's such a long time.
yeah.
And why like did you not think about like maybe joining a different company?
Oh, because I think I was referred by my mom to this company, and she mentioned that maybe you can just learn something. And the moment I went there, I remember my internship was very grueling in that sense, right? I had to reach at about 6 a.m. Then they started doing some form of like exercises. We were swimming at M Hotel. Then after that, we would start reading a book. Then after that, we will start learning at like 9 a.m. By the time it's 10 a.m., then we will start work. But I think to me, it's really a culture that I enjoy where I learn from people, and everybody is like very willing to share. So I started my journey there, knowing that it is a place where there will be like client centricity, some place
Mm,
where I can be able to represent my client more than I represent the
mm,
company, and that there will be a synergy between like what I'm doing and how I'm value adding to people. So when I was looking for a job, I had like two or three criterias. One of which is like it must help people in a way that they would be able to be financially free. Because for me, I really enjoy helping people to grow their wealth and to grow my own wealth as a result as well. So I'm
You know
really
Jasmine?
thankful. Yeah, I know Jasmine. Hello, Jasmine.
Hello,
Yeah,
Jasmine.
yeah.
Okay.
So
I think
over the
yeah,
years, yeah, it's like that. Mm,
it's very clear that like the financial space that you are in,
yeah.
when it comes to advisors, it's very very crowded, right? Um,
Mm,
and it's also quite obvious that you do things very differently.
mm.
And what has actually, how have you gone on this journey of trying to make sure that you do things differently and set yourself apart?
For me, I tend to attract higher net worth clients. So over the years, it's like probably like attracts like. So I like to attract people with similar values as me, and I tend to like to talk to people about investments such that there is more emotional stability. And there's this word called patient capital. So for higher net worth individuals, they tend to have more time and more patient capital to grow their funds. And I created this thing called the private ATM framework so that it will establish like different streams of income for them while they are working so that they can even get money and retire earlier than expected. So I also help in philanthropic and impact investing, which is not usually the focus of most advisors. So in that sense, right, when there is a charity arm or there's an intent to be charitable, I can help them to raise the value of their businesses and help them to do like higher value creation. And from there, it just brings up like growing 10
Snowballs.
times. Yeah.
Right, right. So
Yeah.
you mentioned patient capital in the sense
Yes.
that like higher net worth individuals generally would spend more time into looking at how they can grow their wealth.
No. So
Right.
patient
Oh,
capital
sorry.
means that usually it would mean that they have more time and they understand that investments do take time. And
Mm,
when we look at some people would be wanting like, okay, I want to get rich quick, fast, or maybe I want to have like someone to grow my wealth like 10 times within 1 year, that kind of thing. So sometimes it's not really possible. But
mm,
patient capital means that you understand that for any investments that you do, that there must always be what we call MRT principle. So example is like M stands for money, then R stands for return, and then T stands for time. So let's say if you have M, but then you don't have time, then it's like you can't get to the destination also. Yeah. So
right.
patient capital refers to having time to let the money compound. So it's
Mm,
like compounding returns if you look at Warren Buffett, because I really like to read about him a lot. So Warren Buffett, most of his wealth is grown to after his age 55. Yeah,
mm,
so the compounding effect sets in. So I would
mm,
imagine by the time I let my money compound, by the time I reach
mm,
that age, it would be really quite a huge amount.
mm.
So even though he donated like more than
Sorry,
30% of
Joanna.
his time,
Continue talking, okay? I removed myself from this stream because it has started raining and I'm outdoors. So,
okay, can. Yeah, so over the years, it's just growing it, and the money will just keep compounding. And compounding effect is actually one of the most important wonder of the world. So it's like the eighth wonder of the world.
can you hear me?
Mm. Yeah.
Okay. Another thing that I wanted to ask you is basically also how do you encourage learning within your team?
Yeah. So for us, right, we like to sign up for courses together as a combined team. So we will be always on the lookout for good courses. And we have actually a place where we put all the good courses together. And we will encourage people just to learn. So there is like basic courses, there's intermediate courses, and there's also advanced courses that they can attend or they can choose to attend. And most of the time, when we send one person out to go and learn first, we realize that, okay, this is not so good a course, then we wouldn't encourage the rest of our team to attend. But let's say, right, it is something that is really worth learning, then we will get the whole team to attend together. So it's like within my team, there's a lot of scholars, and because they are very drawn to learning and improving themselves, it makes a lot of sense for them to keep learning and keep growing, so that over the years, their assets in terms of humans capital and also intellectual capital grows, and they can value add to their clients even more. Mm. Sometimes when they learn new courses, they will also share with the team what they have learned, and they do a
Mm,
summary of
mm,
whatever thoughts and the books that they have read over
mm,
the last few weeks or months.
mm. Sorry, there's a bit of commotion in my side because it suddenly started raining and I had to run to find somewhere that is like shelter. So I'm just standing in some corner right now.
No problem.
But yeah, okay. So I think it's very interesting, right? And usually, um, if you look at the teams within your organization, would you say that like most of them don't really focus on learning?
Mm. I would think that sometimes, right, some organizations might become what we call complacent. So, effectively, for myself, I look at the chart of organizations. So, there are a few stages of growth for a business, right? So, there's a startup phase, and then there is a exponential phase, then there will be a
Right.
maturity phase that where it plateaus, and then there is a decline phase. So let's say I met up with one of my friends who is like a billionaire. So I asked him one question, right? I asked him, how do you make sure that you keep growing and learning? And then he said this, be uncomfortable all the time. Yeah.
Mm.
So I was like, okay, can you please elaborate, right? So he constantly looks for things that he is familiar and also not familiar with so that he can
Mm-hmm.
challenge himself to grow in that areas. Yeah,
Right.
so to me,
Right.
being complacent means that not only I plateau, but probably I might even decline. So
Mm.
effectively, for myself, I feel that the moment that we think we know, or we think that we know more than other people, that's the moment that you probably realize that that is not really very helpful. So when I'm in my team, right, I always tell them, don't think that I am the top means that I cannot learn from all of you. Just know that every time you share, I will also be able to learn from you. So it's like
Mm.
sometimes it's what we call reverse mentoring. And I mean, for me, when I keep learning something, I might get a different perspective from some of people's sharing. So I will never stop myself from learning about investments. I'll never stop myself from growing, and I'll never stop myself from being uncomfortable to learn something that I am not familiar with.
Right. Right. And how do you constantly make sure that you are uncomfortable? Like, would it mean like referring going into different roles, or how is it like?
Mm. So, like, let's say, for example, recently I was learning a few courses, and these courses require me to learn Python programming and like to understand more about like mergers, acquisitions, and other things, right? So, to me, I'm not very familiar with the business world as much as maybe the business owners themselves. But I'm very willing to say, okay, since I don't know, help me to understand. So
Yep. Yep.
often
Yep.
I will ask my friends to, or even business owner friends, or even business owner
Mm.
clients, to tell me, right, what are some of the things that they know about
Mm-hmm.
businesses that maybe I'm
Mm-hmm.
not familiar with. Yeah. So
Mm.
when I have the humility to ask, I actually become like a student, instant student in that sense, and they would usually be willing to share with me.
Right. 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 So you constantly try to find new things that you want to learn about.
Yeah. Like yesterday, I was
Uh,
having like four, and I was trying to help them to increase their value, even double or triple the value, for them
mm.
to do exit planning and retirement planning. So I got my friend to be involved. And from there, I learned so many things yesterday that I mean, mind blown is just underwhelming statement, you know. Yeah. So
Mm.
it's like too many things I'm learning. Yeah.
Mm. Mm. Cool. 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 Uh, what is the biggest challenge you experience
Mm. Yeah.
in trying to encourage learning and I mean always being uncomfortable all the time? Like sometimes do you ask yourself like, is it necessary?
Yeah, so I've really slowed down a lot over the past 2 years because I feel that sometimes when leading a team, I remember there's a quote, right? It says that if you want to go fast, you go alone. If you want to
Yeah.
go far, you go with a team. So for me, I have been moving very fast all these years. So these past 2 years, I've really slowed down a lot to help my team, and I breathe a lot better now. I sleep a lot more now. And obviously, because of the COVID, I spend a lot less time traveling. And
Mm.
because of less time traveling on the roads and getting lost, I actually save a lot more time, and I have more time for thinking. So
Right.
when leading a team, the hardest part to me is really unable to reach everybody's expectation and
Mm.
unable to cater to everybody's needs. because I
Mm.
feel that sometimes as leaders, we need to be sensitive to their needs, but yet at the same time, there's a very thin line between catering to everybody's needs and being a people pleaser. So
Yeah.
I don't want to be known as a people pleaser, but then I also wouldn't want to be like so indifferent about
Mm.
what their feelings are and what they are
Mm.
going through. So that's why it's like a fine line of balance that I need to make sure, so that I wouldn't like overstep the boundary to say, you should do that when you are not you are going through something very challenging, maybe in your family or something, right? So having the empathy and also the consideration for others is something that I I learned a lot more over the years when I slow down. So last time it's just bash through everything, everything fast, But now it's like, okay, I think let's slow down a bit. Let's talk to them. Let's communicate and let's align ourselves and let's take a look at how we can really go together. Yeah.
So in the past, you were very focused on getting your team to achieve quick results. Is that right?
Yes.
And then
Not
now
so
it
much for
is.
quick results, but probably more like more performance driven. Yeah.
Mm.
So I would say it's not really short term results that I'm looking for. I want long sustaining transformation. But the thing is that I would want them to do things much faster. Yeah. And
Mm.
sometimes people really need time,
Right.
and I need to slow down for them so
How
that
do you come to that realization, and how do you actually slow down?
yeah, so I always get feedback, right? So sometimes it's direct, sometimes it's indirect. They send somebody to tell me. So effectively, I think most of the time it's indirect because they are so
Oh.
too afraid, right? So effectively, when they feedback to me and they tell me, oh, you are so busy, are you sure you know what's happening in the team? Yeah.
Mm.
So after a while, I realized, yeah, it's true. You know, so this year I intentionally took time to understand every single person at a deeper level, to
Mm.
understand what their struggles are, to have one-on-one meetings with them, to find out about like what are the things that they really need help with. Like one of my advisors, like she just had a one-on-one last week with me, and then I told her, okay, actually I wanted to feedback something to you about the tonality of your voice, but I couldn't do it in like a team context. So now that we have like a one-on-one meeting, I can tell you how do you do voice and tonality, and I mean, to me these are like some small things, but it actually she actually said this like, oh, you are so sharp and so on point when you give me this feedback. Yeah, so to me, I appreciate that a lot when I learn over the years about tonality, how to speak to people, and then how do we appear um, like vulnerable, authentic, and yet at the same time, able to achieve the goals for the clients and results as well. Yeah, so I think there's a balance that we need to have.
Mm. Mm. So having one-on-one time was something that you didn't do previously.
I had a lot of one-on-ones, but it was more like task oriented. Like, okay, you need to get this done, you need to
Yeah.
do this thing, or you
Yeah.
need to meet this person. I need to
Yeah.
do this case. Can you
Mm.
please help me with this? But
Mm.
this few months, I've been like really checking on them, like
Mm.
knowing, understanding like what are the things that they have gone through, and I found out like some of the people's maybe boyfriend's mother not around, that kind of stuff, pass on and all
Right.
these things like
Oh, oh,
I
oh,
probably
oh. I see.
uh, wouldn't really like
No.
ask intentionally
Mm.
until I have the time to really slow down and check on them. Yeah.
Mm. Okay. Okay. Yeah, I think that is interesting. Hearing about how you slow down, and all that. Yeah. So it's really true the feedback that you got from the team that made you decide that, hey, I you need to take things slower a little bit.
Mm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So now we move on to our last question, right?
Mm.
Uh, and if anybody's watching, I think you'll have your friend, Joshua, who says, "Way to go, Joanne." Is he your team?
Yeah. Yes.
Aki never talk bad about anybody. What is one biggest lesson that you learned about leading a team?
I think it's like what Steve Jobs says, right? Great things are never done by one person. They are done by a team of people. And I think that many times, right, if I want to do things myself, I can get things done fast. But sometimes
Yeah.
my team will say, why don't you give me some responsibility so that I can help you with it as well? Then I
Mm.
felt like, wow, so sweet, like thanks for
Yeah.
telling me that. But sometimes I'm always in the doing mode, right? And then I didn't realize that I've been doing so many things myself, and sometimes I take it upon myself that I need to do this. And
Mm.
over the years, as I built my core team, and I realized that there is a lot of people who are very concerned about me and my health also. And then they will say things like, oh, just pass it to us. Tell me how can I
Right.
help the team? Tell me how can
Right.
I do this? I can help you with this. Yeah. So to me, it's like synergies, right? And coming to a conclusion that I myself alone can only do this much. But if I really want to go
Mm.
10 times, right, going 10 times is always better than going one time, then I can choose. I don't need to be the smartest person in the world, but I can choose smart people to work with.
Mm.
Yeah. So
Mm.
effectively, everybody has their own strengths. And because of
Mm.
their strengths, I just need to have the ability and foresight to put them in the right place in the right time and doing the right thing.
Right.
Then we will be able to work together. We can't control a lot of things in the world, not even the
Mm.
war or anything, but we can control our behavior and our response in an ever-changing world. And how do we respond to people who want to help us? Is that basically since they want to help me, then sure, like let's
Yeah.
work out something together. And
Mm.
I'm very thankful that they uh, really respect the work that I do, and they want to be one day like doing as well as me, if not better. And my role
Wow.
is really like to bring them to greater heights, right? Through the things that I'm trying to create for them and the
Mm.
synergies that we have in the team, where the
Mm.
culture of sharing and caring for
Mm.
each other will really bring
Mm.
us to another place where probably some teams might struggle to go to. But for us, we are very thankful to be blessed with a group of people who are willing to help.
Mm. Okay, that's very nice.
Yeah.
That you have people who volunteer to help you. Um, yeah, yeah. Okay. I think that that's all the questions that we have for today. Joanne, any questions or any other things that you want to share before we end today's session? People who are watching can also check out Joanne's LinkedIn, as well as her website, to find out a little bit more about Joanne and what she does. Yeah. Anything else you want to add, Joanne,
Yeah.
before we end?
I think for now I'm done. But basically, I'll be working on quite a few charitable projects moving forward, and I'll
Yeah.
be pretty much looking forward to the book launch for my new book on called "Don't Get Scammed." Yeah, so that would
Okay.
really help to educate more people on scams and
Mm.
frauds, and hopefully it will value add to people who are struggling. And we'll be donating the proceeds to Institute of Mental Health and some other charities to ensure that everybody is like well-being and mental health is taken care of.
Right, right, right. Okay,
Yeah,
your
thank you for
new book
inviting
called
me.
Don't Cat Scam. Yes. Is it available on your LinkedIn so people can go onto your LinkedIn and find out
Not
more
yet.
about it?
It's not published yet, but it'll probably
Okay.
be out in the next, hopefully 2 to 3 weeks time.
Okay,
Yeah,
very
because
nice,
I'm
very
getting
nice.
a forward from the National Crime Prevention Center. That will take some
Wow.
time.
Wow. Very
Yeah,
nice, very nice. Okay, thank you, Joanne. Thank you
yeah.
for
Thank
sharing with us
you.
about learning. Thank you so much.
Yes.
Bye
Thank
bye,
you.
everybody.
Yeah. Take care. Bye.